All right, Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. Uh, so this video is going to be about the Drew Lock injury situation. But first, I wanted to say that do you realize that I spent all day yesterday just analyzing one quarter of of footage, grueling through that. I haven't even gone to the three quarters, and I haven't even got to the part where, and nobody wanted to talk about it ever after the game, was that the team almost got Locke killed. We talked about that afterwards, and as it turned out, Drew Lock has had sustained some significant injuries, not broken bones or anything, but he's on the cusp. So I think this says a couple of things. One, that obviously this isn't on Drew Lock completely. The breakdowns that I just started getting into. Again, I only put in of one quarter's worth of footage. I haven't got to all the rest. I haven't got to the disaster. It seemed to me that the Raiders were kind of in the first quarter trying to get a feel defensively. They were trying to get a feel of how the Broncos offense would do. By the second quarter, they were coming in full speed ahead, and obviously they got Locke injured. So to me, Locke is a very bad situation either way. Is a catch-22. You don't play. Oh well, he's injury prone. Draft another quarterback. He's injury prone. We got Bortles. Remember, I started that a long time ago about Bortles. He hasn't gone away, has he?
Nope.
He hasn't gone away. So I don't know what the deal is with Driscoll. Everybody's clamoring for Rippon, but he's throwing interceptions too. So the bottom line is it's not a very quarterback-friendly team, number one. Here's the other thing, too, is that this is an organization that has a hard time game planning when they know who their quarterback is. Now they're really going to have a hard time. And I guess we could touch a little bit on the Dolphins' defense. They've got a game plan for the Dolphins' defense, and they're not probably juggling what quarterback's going to, one, definitive answer, because in Locke's condition, he could get knocked out of the game. He's on the cusp. So, what do you think about this Locke injury situation?
So what I think about the Locke injury situation is we both predicted. Well, you predicted that they were going to ruin this guy, and every week it's just the same story, but different situations that Drew Lock is being put in on a weekly basis. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to put some blame on Drew Lock here because I just want to bring this up real quick about what you brought up yesterday. I really like how you brought up how when he's doing the boot action that he is not planting his feet and throwing. That's one thing I've been noticing about Drew Lock, and that's been a trend. And that's been a trend even when he was in college that he needs to work on. And another thing, he needs to recognize the pressure when it's coming from, especially up the middle. That's something that I've been noticing that he's been struggling at. I don't know if that's a situation where he knows that his offensive line can't do anything, and or the offensive line just can't hold up for him for just a split second for him to make those passes that in the middle of the field, especially. So, like you said, it's a catch-22. His injury with the injury with Drew Lock, it's one of those things where I just sit back and it's just, we've been harping on this for about 5-6 years. Well, you have. There is no O-line in front of him to save his life. Is there points in a game where they give him the time? Yeah, but those points in the game, Drew Lock is already bruised and battered from the previous hits that he's getting hit on. I commend Drew Lock for his toughness. He is a tough kid and he's a tough quarterback. But when I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio and all these other people, they're saying that, he needs to get rid of the ball quicker. That's true, but, you've got to let the play develop as well. I mean, you having Pat Shermer who's not drawing up game plans where it's helping the quarterback. You're gonna tell me that you're gonna run Philip Lindsay 4 times in that game, but you can't run the football. That's where me and you agreed. But this is
Agreed.
agreed. They can't run the football. They're not creative running the football. They can't do a simple football 101 blocking scheme. And that falls directly on John Elway, but that also falls directly on Mike Munchak because everybody was praising his britches when he came here.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare, Mike. He's God. He's up there.
Yeah, but segueing back
here's hold on a second. Here, I'm sorry. I just got to stop you with this. How come all these Munchak, Fangio, how come these people have had success everywhere, but it's this, and I've been bringing this up. How come once they come here, we just ruin everybody? Why is it that the Broncos organization ruins everybody when they get here? Locke is worse than he used to be. Okay, they ruined Case Keenum. He became worse than he. I mean, it just goes. And then the guy in Arizona, the old head coach, it's repeating. It's Groundhog's Day. How come Munchak all of a sudden is bad?
So I think the reason why you see all these coaches, especially when they come to Denver, why they're so bad is because John Elway ego supplants everything that they know as a football coach. They're football lifers, and John Elway's ego is supplanting what. Okay, for instance, if Mike Munchak is giving advice to John Elway, let's say on draft night and/or in free agency, to go after this one specific player that he knows and that he knows he can coach up, what is John Elway going to do? He's going to go sign Grant Glasgow to a 4-year deal. He's going to go sign Juwan James, hot tub, to the biggest right tackle deal during that offseason, the money. So I think it falls directly on John Elway. Now, Mike Munchak, he is a Hall of Fame player. He is a great O-line coach. Now, I think the problem that has happened, and we brought this up a few weeks ago, they had to focus on one player because John Elway wanted to prove everybody that he is a good player, and that's Garrett Holds and Garrett Bowles. And I think that's the issue with Mike Munchak. Now, with Vic Fangio, I think he doesn't have as much say as people made. I think that was a bunch of
this is. I mean, this is the thing that Sports Talk Radio has really, really done, is given John Elway the insulation he needs, and putting this all. And now this is how they're hypocrites too, is that they were like, okay, you got this is it, John Elway, because there was nobody else to blame. You got rid of Vance Joseph. Can't blame him now. Fangio hadn't done anything, so there was only one person in the spotlight, and that was Elway. And Sports Talk Radio said, okay, if you screw this up, then that's it. They're already ignoring Elway's. I mean, it is so obvious that the deal that they made with Fangio was, you are basically going to be Vance Joseph again, but with more defensive responsibilities. When you see what's going on, Fangio is obviously the defensive coordinator. End of story. And it's obviously, don't worry, when he signed him on, Fangio, John Elway signed Fangio, is like, don't worry about the offense. And this is where Fangio made his mistake. Don't worry about the offense, all that head coaching stuff. Don't worry about all that. You just be Wade Phillips for me. You be my Wade Phillips, okay? I'll take care of the head coaching responsibilities. You can see that in spades from the very beginning. Right away, everybody was like, is he a defensive coordinator? Or is he? Remember, that was the big thing everybody was saying, like, he's obviously the defensive coordinator. He's not the head coach. That's Elway is the head coach.
I will expand on that. You can clearly see that he's not the head coach because of his 2-minute situations when it comes to timeouts, number one. His clock management, especially in late in games. Now, I'm not here to blame Fangio for all that because I think he was duped to come here. And I don't think another coach is going to make that mistake again. If Elway, if Elway's still here, but he's not going to be here past 2022. So
one way or the other.
Yes, exactly. None of these coaches will be here, even including Mike Munchak, Sherman, Fangio. They will not be here once Elway leaves. They will all leave. And this, like you said yesterday in your video, we have to get to the root of the problem. And ladies and gentlemen, when Elway leaves, it's not going to turn around overnight. We have to make sure that we get a good owner that knows what he's doing, that holds people accountable, and we have to get a GM who knows player personnel to the point where he can make right decisions on players and giving them smart contracts and getting smart draft picks to help this team out. This isn't going to be a situation where 2022 the heavens are going to open up and we're going to be back in the playoff picture and Super Bowl picture. This is going to take at least 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. This is going to be what John Elway has done to this franchise has set this team back at least another decade.
Well, and it's what he hasn't done either. This goes all the way back to Peyton Manning. We know Pat Bowlen iced that deal, but Elway, when he was put in, never started, already going ahead beyond the Peyton situation. He's all over the place. Well, we're going to do this scheme, that scheme, the other scheme. There's quarterbacks, that don't even match up with the schemes that they have running at the time. It's just a big fat mess. I know I wanted to say something else about, just the state of the team, but it escapes me right now because we're just on the wash of so much. Oh, I was going to say expansion team. This is what I was going to say. What I wanted to point out remember I said that the Broncos, I had the audacity to say the Broncos were an expansion team. Oh, how dare you? Isn't exactly what we saw with that player personnel, with that Harris. Isn't that what an expansion team would do? That's the level of bad and stupidity of a bad expansion team, right? I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong. And I would also like to jump on that point too. Everybody's blaming Fangio for that decision, and that was clearly an Elway move. Devontae Harris has been here for 2 years. There's a reason why Fangio has benched him a lot of the time, because he knows that he doesn't fit the scheme. He knows that he is not a good player. But what Elway did was overrule Fangio because his ego was so strong that he had to get rid of Devontae Bosby, and with the graces of Vance Joseph and the Cardinals, you could steal him off his practice squad. See, so that's the level of stupidity, like you said yesterday. That's the level of stupidity where we are at now as a franchise. You see, all the good franchises wouldn't have made that move. They would have got rid of Harris last off season. You wouldn't have kept him around. And see, that's another issue we have to bring up too. He's keeping players clearly not good players, and they're clearly hurting their own.
I agree. It has to be coming from Elway because I never saw Fangio. Fangio didn't do this with Houston. He did. I think it was Houston, right? He didn't do this with the Bears. He didn't do this wherever he went. This is the first time he's supposedly doing all this.
But we also have to give Fangio credit for the type of talent. He doesn't have nearly the talent like he did in San Francisco, like he did in New Orleans back in the day with the Dome Patrol. He doesn't have nearly the talent like he did in Chicago. Now, Chicago's a whole different story, but Fangio had a lot of say in Chicago for that defense because he was strictly in charge of that defense, and the GM listened to him.
Player personnel.
Why do you think they got Roquan Smith in the first round?
Yeah. So I don't see Fangio. I don't see this as being a Fangio.
No, it's not.
Because the track record predates Fangio. We've seen this over and over and over before there was Fangio here.
It was the year before Peyton Manning left. We saw
exactly. So this definitely has Elway's fingerprints all over it.
Absolutely.
And Sports Talk Radio doesn't want to acknowledge that. Wait a minute, we're blaming Fangio, but why are we? again, I go back to what I was saying when there was nobody else to blame but Elway. Okay, this isn't going to be on you. What happened to that with them? So how could this strictly be Fangio when he's never acted like this before? This is completely new to his personality. And I know we're getting off a tangent from what this means with Drew Lock, but it all just comes together.
Like you said, this encompasses what we've been. This has a lot to do with how Drew Lock is being handled. So this is much to do as Drew Lock's injury as anything else. Now, like I said before, you brought up how he had so much success here, and I hear sports talk radio saying, "Well, in the offseason, you need to get the players that can come in here and play." Well, do you trust Elway to get the right player personnel to come in here and fit the system of the Fangio system in the Pat Shurmur system? No, because your ego is so bigger than everybody else's that you have to sit up on your throne like Al Davis did, like you said, in the 90s, and trump everything that these coaches know. Okay? So Drew Lock's injury, that comes to John Elway at the end of the day, because he hasn't put the right offensive players. Okay, well, the receiver position's good, but you don't have the offensive line. I mean, what was that tight end doing? Trying to chop block? What is
Yeah,
this,
that was
90s?
Fumagalli, by the way. That was Fumagalli.
Yeah, what are you trying to do, Terrell Davis back in the 90s football? Like, seriously, like,
And a
that
bad
was
job,
awful.
but not even close either. Just a bad job.
No, it wasn't.
It's like, I'm not going to block. I'm just going to go down to the ground.
Exactly. So, but here we go again. This is what's going to happen. This is what I believe is going to happen from. Okay, Drew Lock is going to get these 7 games. There's already people off the bandwagon. I get it. You know, you think Drew Lock sucks. That's your opinion. My opinion is if you put him in any other stable organization, he would have the successes of a Kyler Murray.
He would have the ability to grow, maybe get out of some of those bad habits.
Yeah, but
and if you got a quarterback like Drew Lock who's had those bad habits, you got to put him behind something stable to settle him down. You can't put him in a distable system. I mean, this is a volatile deal that's going on, no matter who the quarterback is.
Well, it's a clown. It's a clown organization now, and unfortunately, that's where we are at. But this is what's going to happen in the offseason. Ladies and gentlemen, why do you think they're keeping Blake Bortles around? Like, that's just, seriously, why do you think they're keeping Blake Bortles on the practice squad? Why, for a practice squad player for Drew Lock to be mentored by?
Who was the first person really bringing that Blake Bortles issue to light?
This guy right here.
Oh, God. Unbelievable.
But this is what's going to happen. We're going to have a quarterback controversy in the offseason. Elway might go out and sign somebody in free agency, too. I wouldn't put that past him, because Elway here. So,
well, who's desperate enough to come here? Who's desperate enough?
I don't know. I'd have to look whose contracts are up. I don't think seriously, if you are an established quarterback in the National Football League, and unless if Elway overpays for you and you feel like you can rob his checks and his money, why would you come here? Especially with the product that you see on the offensive line, especially. You would be killed.
Well, look at the history. How many corpses does the Denver Broncos have? Quarterback corpses back there.
Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Joe Flacco, Case Keenum. I mean, the list goes on.
Drew Lock.
Brock Osweiler. That's 6. Drew Lock now, like
I know even the people that wanted Fields. Fields. They said yeah, and I just commented. I said yeah, we got a tombstone for him too, and they laughed. They get it. I mean, even they get it.
Well, they get it too, but also I was listening to I don't remember who I was listening to this morning. I was doing that while I was watching my finishing up the Dolphins film. But I was listening to how everybody's saying that the Broncos O-line sucks, but to me, I don't see that. Like, okay, so what are you watching? Are you watching the Colts offensive line? Like, I don't know what you're watching. This offense is horrendous. It's worse than last year.
Well, yes. Everybody outside that's out of the orange sunglasses, whatever. They see, they even comment on that.
Exactly.
Last year they were saying, well, what's up with these free runners? Because he goes,
Yes.
I'd have to look into this. Like, there's somebody that does a national, yeah, it's the scheming too. I was trying to point out that the scheming is completely horrendous. You have horrendous players in horrendous schemes,
Well,
and you got quarterbacks getting killed.
Well, I think it was the film breakdown that you did yesterday or the day before today, and you brought up how it was that play where Melvin Gordon got blocked on his ass. Sorry for my
yeah,
language.
yes. I didn't even talk
what kind
about
of play
that.
design? And then he throws the fan, and he knows where to go. Like, see, that's like this is exactly what me and you have been talking about for weeks. We're not talking about jet sweeps. We're not talking about flea flickers like back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how to get your players open in a smart, schematic way. And everybody's talking about now, why can't we do bubble screens or why can't we do screen passes? Because we don't have the player personnel to do that. And the scheming would get the player killed.
I don't even know if we have the coaching to do that.
No, we don't.
Remember that? I want to say something just really quick. Do you remember the play I showed where they actually, everything went perfect, and not Jewel, Judy was wide open right in front of Locke?
Yes.
That was a Belichick play. That was a Belichick play. Brady and Belichick made a living off of that. Absolutely. Where you'd have the receiver run, their DB would get caught up, and they'd be free, and just right in front of Brady all the time. Boom, 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 boom. But he had Locke had no. I mean, when he broke the huddle, it was to go there on the flat the whole time.
Exactly.
And my question, though, wait a second. My question is, are they training him that when your heels, like for instance, a situation like that, your heels are right on your own goal line? Don't try to even look. You go right. You just get the ball away as fast as you can. That's what I think it's being coached at him.
I think that's what I agree with you. I think that is what is being coached, but I also think it has to do with with Locke as well. Where
yes, it's all
he's rushing through his read. He's rushing through his read to try and find somebody open because the offense. Okay, yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna take a step back here and breathe for a minute because I didn't want to go on a rant, but Drew Lock has to get better at when the pocket is holding up for him. He needs to make those throws, but a lot of the time, if you go watch the film, there's a lot of the time where there's a free runner. That happened a lot against Oakland. That happened a lot against Kansas City.
Atlanta
City basically put the blueprint out on the Denver Broncos. Kansas City put the blueprint out.
Well, I think Pittsburgh did.
Okay, yes.
I think Pittsburgh did. I think that's yeah. And Drew Lock, the Broncos and Drew Lock.
Yes, but I think you're onto something where I think that Mike Shula and Pat Shurmur and John Elway are putting it in his head where he needs to get rid of it. Don't go through your progressions, don't go through your reads. Now, Drew Lock, that will ruin a quarterback, number one. That will make a quarterback think more because he's going to be looking for the pressure and he's going to take his eyes off of what he's seeing on the field. Now, with Drew Lock, does he need to get better at reading the field? Absolutely. He needs to stop reading one side of the field. But like I said, basically this is his rookie year. But he's already killed. He's already destroyed. He's already bruised and battered.
I think he's a dead man walking, personally.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think, again, hypocrisy on steroids with sports talk radio. Remember they were saying open the playbook, right? You know what they're talking about today? Well, why can't we run the ball? Who first of all was talking about we can't run the ball? Both of us, we were talking about that when they were saying open it up, and I said it's not about opening it up, it's about smart play design. And then we were talking about they don't have the blocking schematics even in the running game. Okay, even in the running game, they're not executing. Okay, and the other teams have got the blueprint on Shermer, you
Yep.
know? And
Because 1 second, he's basically running what he did with the Rams. He's basically running what he did in New York. He's running what he did somewhat in Minnesota. But the thing about Minnesota is they have a damn good coach in Mike Shermer who held him accountable. And Vikings are pretty much a stable organization. Yeah, they don't go to Super Bowls, but they're still consistent in winning games. You could say whatever you want about their record, but they're still stable enough to hold.
Yeah, they're leaps and bounds ahead of the Broncos.
But what I wanted to say is, this is why I miss Rich Scangarillo. Because, like you said, you are the first person to bring it up on this channel. He could plug up the A and B gas because he knew that he didn't have the players to run his system to his full ability. His running scheme is leaps and bounds from what you see from Pat Shermer.
And I'm going to keep
leaps and bounds.
I'm going to keep hammering this too. The Scangarello hire, or let me step back a little bit. Fangio being blamed for bringing in Shermer, okay, Pat Shermer. You have to go back to the hiring of Fangio and the deal that was cut. You're going to just be my Wade Phillips. Don't worry, I'll take care of all that head coaching stuff, okay? Just we'll bring in a good coordinator, okay? Okay, I'll do that. You bring in a good coordinator. Well, if you're a Fangio and you're looking at Scangarello's resume, you're like, well, where's this OC you were supposed to get? And I believe that the OC of Shermer had much less to do with Fangio and a lot more to do with Elway's inability to bring in an OC with any kind of qualification. So Fangio's like, I never signed up for this Scangarello. Oh, don't worry. We'll let this season go. We'll get the next desperate person, which happened to be Shermer. I mean, if he hadn't have got fired, it would have been just some other desperate, right? And so I'm just saying that the situation really revolves to the guy that's at the top. All of this. You can blame Fangio all you want about Shermer, but that predates really Scangarello's hire. Back when Elway and Fangio met to discuss coming to Denver. I have to put that out there.
Okay. Going back to Rich Scangarillo. So you compare both of these offenses, okay? And you have the Rich Scangarillo offense and the Pat Shermer offense. Where Drew Lock looked more comfortable in the Rich Scangarillo offense. And okay, was I the person on here that wanted Rich Scangarillo gone? Yeah, I was one of those people. But now taking a step back, this is where I blame myself. Is because I didn't look at the bigger issue at hand, and I didn't look at the finer details of what you've been talking about and what other people have been talking about when it comes to Rich Scangarillo and why he was fired. So when I go back and watch the film, you can clearly see where Drew Lock thrived and where Drew Lock is regressing before our very eyes. Because Rich Scangarillo protected Drew Lock. Pat Shermer isn't, because he's making him throw 40 times a game. Now, do I want Drew Lock to throw 40 times a game? No, because I want us to be a balanced offense. We have no identity with the Pat Shermer system.
Other than we suck.
Other than we suck. With the Rich Scangarillo offense, at least you had some sort of identity. I mean, seriously, on a weekly basis, our offense didn't look this putrid under Rich Scangarillo. You could say all you want, but name me a game
with
last
much more
year.
talent on the wide receiver end.
Exactly. He didn't have it, but he didn't have the talent though. When you got rid of Emmanuel Sanders in the mid-season to the 49ers, so you basically all you had was Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton, and Rich Scangarillo still had success doing it. Now there's going to be people in the comments that say, "Well, you're wrong because he was only a scripted coach." Well, I would like to say to you, I mean, look at these stretch of games. The past 3-4 weeks, even I'll bring up the Patriot game. How did Rich Scangarillo have a stretch like that I don't think so.
Now, I got to tell you this. There are two words that explain why Pat Shurmur was hired. Two words: Kansas City. Kansas City. They saw Kansas City. They saw the three wideout system, and this was all advertised. We're going to open it up. We're going to open it up. We're going to open it up.
So now vertical.
Go vertical. So yes, they went Al Davis on us. They went vertical, and now what are they all saying? Well, we're not running the ball. We're not running smarter. Well, again, we're like a broken record here. And then finally, sports talk radio begrudgingly has to come and talk about the things that we've been talking about all along. But
we're one step ahead of everybody else because me and you, from a bigger lens, we see it from, exactly. We see it from a bigger lens. But this whole Drew Lock injury is very frustrating because we all know who is at fault here. It's not Drew Lock. It's John Elway, because if you were a smart organization, you would be the Indianapolis Colts right now. You would have an established offensive line with smart player personnel decisions, and you could put whatever quarterback you want. They have a 38-year-old Philip Rivers who is thriving under that system because he has an offensive line in front of him.
Oh, man, imagine. Offensive line. Oh, no, wait a minute. We have the fifth best. No, Marilat, right? He said we have the fifth best offensive line in all of football, right? Or is that the fifth best defense? I get them both confused.
We don't have both. I mean, okay, so you think of Vic Fangio, he's keeping this defense respectable. With the players that he has, with the likes of Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson, who like the arm tackle. Yeah. And you have Kareem Jackson, who
I haven't even got into that tape yet.
I'll save that for you. I will save that for you.
Bad, and it wasn't even the worst quarter.
But Vic Fangio kept us in the game till half. Oh, okay, not till half, probably till halfway through the third quarter.
Halfway through the third quarter, yeah.
But then it was just a big old avalanche that came on the Broncos, and because their offense can't do anything, they don't have the blocking, they don't have the Melvin Gordon again proved why he is an overpaid running back, and you're going to run Philip Lindsay 4 times, who is the heart and soul of that offense. It's clear, but Elway wants to shove it down everybody's throat. That they want Melvin Gordon to be this all-world running back, which he is not.
Who is the head coach, really, on this team? Who is the head coach?
It's
Elway. It's Elway, exactly.
You've been saying that for years. You trust me. It's not just this year, and I know this. It's not just this year you've been bringing it up. It's this year. It's more evident than ever. But with the Vance Joseph era, with the year before Peyton Manning retired, he started to become Al Davis. He started to bring his ego into everything, and that's where Peyton Manning was like, I'm out of here. I'm riding off in the sunset. I'm going to be a smart player. I'm not going to continue to play for you. I play for Pat Bowlen. That's why I came for
Pat Bowlen. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that's what caught him off guard. Maybe Elway and his ego thought, oh, I'll keep him here. And then when he left, it's like, oh, crap, we don't really have a plan. Right? They didn't have a plan, right? The plan was no plan.
Well,
they still don't have a plan.
Oh, the plan was no plan. Oh, okay, so I have to give Gary Kubiak some respect here. We could say he was buddy-buddy with John Elway, but the last winning season we had, we went 9-7 with Gary Kubiak. With Trevor
where did Gary Kubiak go? He didn't stay here.
Minnesota. He didn't want to come here. He didn't want to be the offense coordinator. See, that tells you everything you need to know. Supposedly, John Elway's best friend, Gary Kubiak, left for greener pastures in Minnesota.
That has to tell you everything you need to know. I said that a long time ago. I said that when it happened. That brace for impact. Well, we got just another year of this nonsense to do, and then the stuff's really going to hit the fan. And I said, I believe that 31 teams are going to have to, with the commissioner, knock on the Broncos' door and say, you tell those kids either pick out who's going to run this team, or it's on the sales block, and that is Pat Bowen's wish. It's not mine. That's what Pat Bowen said.
He signed the dotted line.
He signed the dotted line. These kids have to make a decision. If not, it gets sold.
And
Period. End of story.
nobody knows about that either. There's
They
not
don't
a lot
talk
of people
about
that know about that.
Well, Sports Talk Radio knows about it. They won't talk about it. They just started to hint on it yesterday.
See, they're too late. I mean, okay, I respect them for starting to talk about it, but they're not going to go full in depth about what the bigger issue is here. The bigger issue is at hand, and I'm happy that I get to do this because I get to have a voice where I don't have producers wanting to cut my balls off. That would suck.
You're not going to get us into the building talking like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, the likes of Orlando Franklin and all these other guys, I'm not
Sandy Clough, that really pissed me off. That's why I made that video about if Locke goes, Elway's got to go, because Sandy Clough is, well, that we definitely have to go out and just get a new. That's the cure all to everything. You know, he can't say, look, you know, if he goes, Elway's got to go. We got to redo everything. Yeah. No, I don't. You know, here's the thing. I don't want to talk to players. I don't need to talk to players. It's like this. Let's see what your game film. Let's see what the tape shows me. That's you. Yeah. That's how you do the talking. You know. So right now, go ahead.
I'll just bring this point up. So would I want to go talk to Devontae Harris and ask him what the hell he was doing on that special teams play? Yes. You're an NFL player, okay? And you're going to get pushed back like that. And this is a fault on Deontay Spencer, too. Because can I bring this up real quick? Deontay Spencer, here's a guy who had a good year last year. You know, he wasn't making the same mistakes this year. Why do you think he's making the same mistakes this year? Because he thinks that he needs to win his job. But he already won the job. That's why he's on this roster. He is overthinking it.
Well, I remember when the Broncos were doing the draft, I thought, well, they're going to get rid of Spencer because they got Hamler, and Hamler was the NCAA, you know, return specialist. So they just cleared that up. So, to me, that would have been the smart thing to do, and then use that roster spot for, again, players they actually need, right?
Not Tyree Cleveland, please no.
You know. So, again, we go back to player personnel, the situation. So, just really quick, I just want to wrap up the video with, again, Drew Lock. I think he's in a no-win situation. Okay. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. If he plays, I believe that he's going to be knocked out for good, and we're going to see the Blake Bortles show. Eventually, the show that I said was in the works.
Brought it up.
It was in the works.
Yep.
The Blake Bortles show, and you know that's going to be next year for sure. The Blake Bortles show.
That's going to be the quarterback controversy. Like
part of it.
Well, it's going to be like the days of Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian. We're going to relive the whole experience all over again.
Oh yeah. Tim Tebow, Kyle Orton. Yeah, it's the whole thing all over again. It just never seems to. Groundhog's Day. Here we go again.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up my point. Drew Lock is a dead man walking. You can go back and watch the film. His development has been absolutely ruined by the way that they have utilized him, by the way that they have schemed to his strengths, not his weaknesses. And that's what I've been seeing in the film. They have been scheming to his weaknesses more than his strengths.
Well, this isn't a stable offense to learn behind. You know, a lot of other teams, you could bring up a quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs obviously is a shining example of that, where you plug them in. You mentioned the Colts.
Yeah.
Philip Rivers is serving as a great bridge quarterback because they have the pieces in place. Now, if anybody moved up to get Fields, I don't want to get into the virtues of Fields, but I'm just using it as a situation. That would be the kind of team that would move up to get that quarterback that's good enough to, in a stable situation to develop and become a really good quarterback. It's just not an environment that's quarterback friendly for a any quarterback, really, especially somebody that's young. So I think that either he'll get killed if he goes out there. If he doesn't go out, it'd be the best thing, I think, for him not to go and let him heal for 1 week. Let him just recover for 1 week. But you know that, he's injury prone, he's injury prone, he's injury. It's just going to be the guy's a dead man walking either way.
Well, why is he injury prone then? Like, why can't we have that talk? Why is he injury prone?
No. It's all on him. He's not reading. He's not reading the blitz. When he's like this, walking, because some guy just let his guy go.
It was Garrett Bowles. Man, I just don't.
Well, there was. When I was breaking down that film, there was also unbelievable holding by Reisner and Glasgow. Unbelievable holding by those guys. I didn't even mention that. You get the more you're editing, you start seeing stuff like, oh wow, he was really holding on that play.
Well, when you do the deep dive, Graham Glasgow again, man, just another John Elway woof.
4 years of him. 4 years of him. 4 years of him.
Maybe there's a reason why Detroit didn't want to bring him back. They wanted Frank Ragnow, their center, to stay because he's actually a better player than Glasgow.
Well, that Mark Schlereth brought this up. He said the reality is it's very rare that, unless they have a lot of talent and they have to move, somebody has to go. It's very hard to get a good offensive lineman in a free agent deal because they know how hard it is to get them, so they covet them. But sometimes the numbers work out where, or they talk to another team because their contract is up and they decide, oh, okay, but it said it's very rare that, and there's no easy pickup for offensive linemen. You either got to really be dealing or it just has to be a weird circumstance.
Well, it's hard to find offensive linemen now because the NFL has ruined offensive linemen. I mean, there's only a few schools in college that develop offensive linemen correctly. And
that's what works out for Bowles. Bowles can probably get a contract in a number of places because of the demand, the supply and demand.
Exactly. There's only a few schools, and I'm going to name one, and this is who I wanted over Bowles when we drafted Bowles. I wanted Ryan Ramczyk from Wisconsin. I have lived in Wisconsin, and I know how they do things up there. I have lived there, and I know how they do their offensive lineman stuff. They put him in. They did it when what Nebraska. I want to go off topic, but we brought it up. They did with what Nebraska did back in the 80s and 90s. They got a lot of farm kids, had them in the gym, 3 years into their college career, and then their senior year they're already developed and built that schematic, hand placement, footwork, and all that. They did it how Nebraska did back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's why there's Wisconsin is a top 10 program, in my opinion, because they have a good offensive line.
You can get good offensive linemen. So what's your wrap-up take on Drew Lock for this Miami game?
My wrap-up take for the injury?
Yeah, for his.
Okay. So my wrap-up take is that, like I said, he's a dead man walking. He is ruined, and sports talk radio is already clamoring the praises for Rippin. Okay, and and see, this is what happens when you have an unstable organization. You're gonna have that type of clown show. But like I said, he's ruined. He's ruined. That's all I have to say. Drew Lock is ruined.
Yeah. So what should he play? Should he play next week?
For his development, yes and no. There's two factors that go into that. Number one, you're gonna get, like you said, you're gonna get him killed. Or number two, he needs the reps. He needs the reps. And we can all say that. You brought it up. This was a rep season for him. But he's being killed, and it's not – his reps aren't being fully utilized because he's getting killed and the offense is going 3 and out every series. So he didn't get the reps coming into the offseason, and he's not getting the reps now in the season. So you could say all you want, but he needs reps. And if I was a coach, I will put him out there because I want to see how he can rebound from a game like he did. That was the worst game I've ever seen him play. This was worse than the Kansas City game. So I want to, if I was the coach and it was a smart organization and he had a terrible game like that and you had a good offensive line, okay, well, it was 1 week. We had a bad game. I want to see how he rebounds against a good Dolphins team. And if he struggles and he continues to struggle, well, that's evident on Elway and Drew Lock because Drew Lock's ruined.
Well, I think if I'm Shermer, I better have Rippon ready to go because he's crippled up as it is. Another beating,
Right.
taking a beating. And I don't know. You said the Dolphins defense is a step up from the Raider defense. So
it's a top 5 defense.
Yeah. So a Marillac top five, or a real top 5?
Real top. They're good.
Not a Marillac top 5. Yeah. So yes. So
we could talk about that Friday. I'm gonna go back and do some more research on it and go back and watch some more film. So I'll let you know what I find out this week.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. We'll hang it up on that. But I figured something had to be said about this injury situation and where the team and the quarterback, everything is, going into this thing.
Agreed.
Agreed. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye.